Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Australian eCrypt powered by KISS. My name is Jesper Anker. I'll be one of your commentators tonight. Joining me all the way from down under. How are you doing, Wesley Sauceburger?
I am ready to ride on with the rest of these crew that are lined up on the start line.
Man, so how much are they going for if everyone out there wants a ride on thumb? Because I'm sure they will.
Oh, we've got a couple that will be thrown around with some other activations down here in Oz. So if you're lucky, you may be able to pick up one.
Could we give one away tonight? Most aggressive prize?
Most aggressive, yeah. For most aggressive, let's give one away. I'm up for that. So most aggressive, this ride on thumb plus a sticker pack will chuck your way.
Oh, stick.
So
Why
we'll
stop there, Wes? Why not
so
just add everything on top?
because we're currently waiting to be restocked and supplied, Jesper. Otherwise, I'd throw everything out there.
No, man, that's okay. That's a really awesome price, and I'm sure we're going to see someone attack tonight, and that someone should probably be Pat Shaw. But in 15 seconds, the E-Crit tonight will get underway. Last week's E-Crit was a bit of a mess, but I take the blame for that one. We will make up for that tonight, Wes.
So should we throw it out there to the People's Choice Award as well as the most aggressive?
Yeah, but then Nazi's just going to come out of nowhere and win it.
And it looks like we're off and racing here. Good sized bunch there, Jasper. How many you got in total of number there?
We had 50 riders in the start list tonight. We are sharing a bit of overload with the CVR race that starts in 5 minutes as well, where most of the strong hitters tonight, Jeff Keel, Ollie Jones, and none other than Cameron Roberts and Linton Savatsky are racing. So we're most likely going to see a new winner tonight here in the E-Crit. But on this start list, I noticed a professional rider from Team Dimension Data, Lachlan Morton, Wes.
Lachlan Morton isn't amongst this. So if you're unaware, Lachlan Morton is an Australian professional rider. So he's been over in Europe now for a few years, had a bit of time off, and then come back into the sport again, along with his brother Angus as well. And they are very well known, sort of in the alternative cycling scene for their thereabouts films.
Thereabouts, what's that?
So thereabouts, so they rode from, I can't remember what it was. It was from Melbourne Melbourne all the way to Alice Springs. So in the central desert. So where the big Ayers Rock is in Australia. And since then they did one in, I'm pretty sure it was Colombia they rode in. On a really epic ride. So they are definitely an interesting characters. I know they've done one in America as well. I think there's three so far. There's another one in America, and my good mate Cameron Worth, who destroyed the E-Crit last week, was actually in that episode with them.
Did he though? I mean, there's no actual video evidence of Cameron Worth destroying the peloton, so he's gonna have to come back and do it all over again.
He is, he is. I mean, I did after the stream. We didn't quite get there with that, but I did keep watching the race myself, and yeah, quite enjoyed it. Actually, it was great. We'll have to get him back in for another one to get amongst this crowd here and stir things up. And he certainly did that with holding. I think he held over 700 watts for a couple of minutes there at the start. So that certainly tested everyone's legs. We don't have that tonight, but nonetheless, we still have got some fast racing. It looks like the pace is fairly on here, up around that 300 watt mark here. We're watching Lachlan here now as we speak.
We are. So I had actually had a message last week from Cameron Roberts saying, Jasper, you are a son of a for not live streaming this race because that was officially the toughest Zwift race I've ever done. Cameron Worth never come back. That was a message from none other than Cameron Roberts last week. So definitely a tough race. But this race is actually, despite some of the big Zwift hitters are not in this race, I do see Pat Shaw's on the start line. Aaron Dunn is on the start line. There's also Tish Sonneveld, I see it in here. He is an ex-professional rider. He is now a journalist and an author. If you know of Thomas Dekker, he may be known for his extravagant history. He's written a book called The Descent, and that was actually co-written by Tish Sonneveld. He's in here. He's got that little confirmation ticker, but it looks like Tish is just at the back of the peloton. He's a busy dad now. He's going to be covering the Tour de France for NOS, I believe, in Netherlands. So if you're tuning in from Europe, you pretty much know who he is. If you're watching from down under, if you read The Descent, well, this is the author. Aaron Dunn is on the start list tonight, Wes. What's he doing?
Aaron Dunn is getting really ready and geared up. Like he wasn't taking part in some of the early preseason races, but now he's starting to get a sniff that the official E-Crit will kick off very shortly. We haven't got a date confirmed yet with all the new problems at the moment with GDPR, but nonetheless, we are endeavoring to try and make sure that it will be very shortly. So these races now are good fine tuning, and Dunn has realised that he needs to get his WP Taz crew ready to roll, because when these point series starts off, that Dunn is definitely one that wants to feature.
I see Joshua Wilson from WP TAS. We had a brief discussion about this man just before going live. Wes, you are the proud manager, sports director, and domestique of WP TAS. Who's Joshua Wilson?
So Joshua Wilson is a Strava.com fiend that has been stealing my Stravas lately, but nonetheless, I have thrown Josh a comment on Strava actually to say that he should get involved in the e-crit, and then linked him to the WP Taz page, hashtag Nadsy onto that, and then Nadsy took over from there. And it looks like that he signed Josh Wilson up. Josh Wilson raced in Italy with the same amateur team with Nathan Earl, who rode for Sky, and another guy who rode for Sky for a little while. You might have heard him, Richie Port.
Who?
So Richie Port. So now with BMC. So Josh went through the amateur ranks racing in Italy. Very strong climber, and his old man has won a stage of the Giro. It was also a professional cyclist, rode in a lot of big races and got some very fine results, including a Giro stage. So Michael got Josh into cycling at a young age, and Josh, took his chances over in Europe. But unfortunately, things got cut down pretty quickly for Josh, just as he was sort of getting established and getting some results in the amateur ranks in Italy. Josh was diagnosed with a medical screening that he had a tumor the size of an acorn in his heart. So Josh come back to Australia, had it operated on, and then shortly afterwards was sort of at a forced retirement. And since then, Josh has been sort of working with his father in the vineyard, which he quite enjoyed. And now it looks like he's coming back and sort of making a bit of a comeback. He was in a breakaway at the national championships at the start of the year. He's been training probably flat out for at least a year and a half now, and he's back into some really fit shape now compared to what he was a year and a half ago. I reckon he would have lost at least 15 kilos or more. So
what?
Yeah, it's great to see Josh in amongst it. So we will probably hopefully get Josh to get a before and after photo of his transformation. And good to see that Michael also is riding on Zwift as well. So being in Tasmania, it does have a very strong little culture with WP Taz and Nadia being a very strong recruiter for the team.
15 kilos. I went from 82.
That's a guess. It could be more. That's a guess. It would be at least 15 kilos. Yeah.
More. Can we just, like, everybody in the chat right now, that takes serious dedication to lose that, because I went from 82 kilos to 75, peak racing, like, fitness. That takes, like, months. That takes so much dedication and patience and just, like, willpower. Imagine having to lose more. Man, Joshua Wilson, everybody in there, good job. Also on the start list tonight, another talking point, I do see Sam Moberly. I believe he was one of the Dimension Data Swift Academy finalists, losing out to Ollie Jones, who's also racing tonight. Fortunately, Ollie has been having some mishap this year. I believe he's got an AC joint injury as well. He's racing in the other race over on the CVR Facebook page right now if you want to go watch that. But Sam Moberly, strong rider. Have you worked with the Dimension Data guys, Wes?
Back when I have since the start of the year when we had Tour Down Under on, I worked a little bit with the Dimension Data guys. So that was more exclusive with Ollie as I sort of started the role a bit after the Zwift Academy has sort of come to a head. So I haven't actually caught up with Sam, but I have been in contact with Sam. So it's great to see him along and getting involved in this with the Zwift Academy coming up for grabs again this year, which will kick off very shortly. Actually, yeah.
Is that an announcement?
So good to see. We've got Danish joined us now, and also Robert Breen, who is actually my cousin, has joined in. So great to see you on here, Robert. Hopefully, we can see you line up one of these e-crits. And a good friend of Josh's as well is Nagy has joined the stream as well. So welcome, Nagy.
Related to the great Nazi, just with a G instead of an S?
Possibly, but no.
I see.
I mean, well, he's from Tasmania, so who knows?
On the start list, I do see Jacopo, and I believe Like something rings a bell, like an NRS racing rider, because I've seen Giacopo. You know better the racing scene down under, and I believe Pat Shaw does well. But I've seen this name
Hmm.
on the NRS. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yeah, so he's part of the team that Pat Shaw was with beforehand, which was used to be called Avanti. And we see Giracopo after the shout out here is
What a
launched off the
timing!
front here. So Giracopo has been the Australian crit champion. He's won a couple of times the local race of the Criterium in Launceston as well. Come down with his team. So he's with the Swiss Wellness team, Ben Long Swiss Wellness. So great to see that he's getting amongst it, and it looks like he's made things work because he is in Western Australia as well. But he's made things work with his time zone here, and he looks like he's putting out 7 watts a kilo off the front here now.
Yes, because while we've been talking about God and everybody in this group, we've actually seen James Hodges, Hughes, and John O'Jay, the revelation so far of this series, yet to win a race, but really strong showing. They've broken away. They have 10 seconds on the peloton, and Giacopo is realizing this, and I don't think I've seen him race on Zwift before, so he's making a move here. He's risking it, and he's holding massive watts. You can see the heart rate starting to peak. He's on that Zwift Beta kit and the Zwift carbon wheels, so low-end equipment, but high-end watts, Wes.
Absolutely. So yeah, now that Giacopo's in amongst it here, I know a few of his other teammates. Obviously, Pat Shaw's past teammate. Geez, we see Talbot just tower past here. Absolutely steam training. It looks like he's going to use the drafting boost here. So it looks like Giacopo is getting a quick lesson here on what to use, but he's going to use that drafting boost to get in the back of draft of Talbot here. So Talbot, as I mentioned before, has come back from injury, had a really nasty crash in Asia and broke his back and has been using Zwift for his recovery. And each week I see that Brody is getting more into this racing, and obviously his form is increasing and he's going well with his rehab. So great to see Brody in amongst it here. And he is watching the stream. I saw him tune in earlier. So great job, Brody. And right on, you can close that gap. He's looking at a nice high cadence here. So make sure you get onto that slipstream here now, Brody, and then get a good recovery.
9 seconds gap down to the peloton. They're about to hit the first hill of the day, the first rope bump for these riders. They are doing 6 laps in total of the London Classics course. That's about 38 kilometers, so 30 kilometers left, or 30 minutes of racing left. It's going to be great. Here we go. We go up the straight to Trafalgar Square. They're going to go over the hill, and we're going to see orange numbers from everybody as they're going to try to keep the raging peloton at bay. We got a 4-man breakaway at the front, actually 5 now. Can they do the impossible and keep that peloton at bay with Mobley, with Pat Shaw, with T. Schoneveld, with multiple strong riders? It's going to be difficult, Wes.
It's going to be difficult, yeah. But oh, look, who's this going off the front here?
Pat
Is that Shaw
Shaw.
going across? Pat Shaw, look at the force he's going out with there. He's not going to let up till he gets across that gap. So good to see Pat Shaw in amongst this. If Pat gets across here, it looks like Dunn is going to be heading the chase from the back of the bunch there. And it looks like C Strong. I haven't seen C Strong in there before, but it looks like he's strong because he's following Dunn there. So this is going to be very impressive if they can get a gap off the bunch here, because if this group of 6 or so gets together and work together straight away, then it's definitely going to be a hard group to get back. But with that sort of that stretching sort of how it's going at the moment, looking at the map up the top of your right hand side there, it looks like it's going to probably drag everyone back together, in my opinion, Jasper.
We don't usually see this many attacks in the Swifty crit, but I think tonight everybody really wants that right on thumb and stickers to pimp out their Pain Cave West. So we do have a competition on the line today. The Combativity Award, the most aggressive rider, the rider to light up the race the most, will send out a right on thumb. You don't even have to win the race, but at the end of the race, we'll have a vote in the chat below. Whoever gets the most amount of votes will actually win a right on thumb. Very exclusive. Even I don't have one, Wes. That's not fair.
Well, Jasper, we may have to let Johnny Noblet take one of these Zwift races, and you can jump in and try and race one and see whether you can win one.
Oh God, that would be hilarious, but all for all the wrong reasons. Everybody, I'd be able to stick with it, but halfway through the race, I'd be a mess. It would just be like, whoosh. It would not be pretty.
You'd be in amongst it, Jasper. I mean, you've done the circle of death, so I reckon you could get through an e-crit.
Oh man, speaking of that, I was really knackered because I was invited to go to the Mont Ventoux, which is happening, I believe, next weekend or this weekend or whatever. But I've got commitments in Vancouver. Such a shame because that would have been really fun to do Circle of Death 2.0, the second year in a row with the Zwift crew. But everything is still back together. Now, it looks like the breakaway has been caught. Martin is still in here. Tish Sonneveld, Hodges, Mobley. Wes, I like to call you out early. You have to make a prediction already. Who's going to win this race?
Prediction early. All right. Well, geez. I wasn't ready for this. I was going to sort of
I
suss
know.
it out a little bit more. I know we saw those five very strong men go off the front there, and I'm going to have to say that if it definitely comes down to a sprint, I'm not going to go past Jerichopo because he is one fast sprinter out on the road. Can he sprint on Zwift? We'll find that out, but I'm going to go him as my pick.
The thing about Giacopa that puts me off is that he's on classic wheels. He's on classic bike. He's got the standard kit. That signals two things to me. One, he's going to have a mechanical disadvantage. Having a better bike, riding a giant TCR, riding the Tron wheels, you see everyone having lighting up wheels. It will make you faster. It will give you a small but marginal advantage that you can actually tell in the long run. The second thing is, he must be a rookie to only have that bike. He's not been on Zwift enough. There are smarter guys in this peloton that will outwit him, outfox him on this London course on Zwift. None other than Aaron Dunn is going to win his first race back. He's going to be the prom king
Oh.
tonight, Wes.
Well, that's nice. I'm very happy that you picked a WP Taz to take out the win. So it might be the likes of Josh Wilson getting up there and maybe getting done for a bit of a lead out or shutting some of these breaks down. Or Josh might have it in for himself that he wants to get the most aggressive and start attacking. Who knows? We'll soon find out. It looks like everyone's together now and happy rolling along. After that bit of an effort from everyone there, looks like the group has compacted down a little bit too, Jasper. We've lost a few.
Yeah, the pace is not as high as last week with Cameron Worth steam training it off the front. So I think everybody is a bit more relaxed, a bit more rested. They are just out there 12 kilometers in. There's still a lot of racing to go. And if you are a rider like Aaron Dunn, you want to sit in, you want to wait for the sprint. There's no reason to light it up. Even if you wanted a ride on thumb, I'm sure you can just give your DS a quick call and bribe him with some energy gels in return.
You could do that. And Sam Mobley isn't really a sprinter, so we may see the likes of Sam try and follow some of these moves on the climb there, because Sam Mobley is generally is quite a light rider and usually quite fast on the hills. And we see JJ up in amongst it here now. So JJ is probably one that will be featuring, I reckon, Jasper, in trying to go for this. He's been doing all of the pre-season e-crit races, and it's great to see that he's in amongst it again tonight as well. So has finished up there in these other preseason races. I think he's definitely finished in top three in at least one of them.
There's something about Australians named Jono and lighting up the E-Crit. Last year it was Jono Bates. This year it's Jono GA from Australia. He's on the attack with Luke Crickland. They just slowly did a Peter Sagan, Perry Rabin moment, looked at each other and went, 6 watts per kilo? 6 watts per kilo. And they've just got a 3-second gap off the front now.
Yeah, and Cridlin is has been in the AOS and been over in Europe, so he certainly knows how to ride a bike, and he's learning how to ride a bike on Zwift as well. Like you were saying, with that advantage of knowing when to use those power ups and at what moment to try and slip off the front. Looks like you said, Jasper, they decided just to increase the pace without lighting it up in those orange numbers. Just sort of a sneaky stealth move.
Sometimes you got to just try and sneak off the front while everyone else is snoozing. I mean, when the E-Crit starts, as you mentioned earlier in your little sneaky announcement that you thought you could sneak by everyone, when the E-Crit kicks off and there are points involved and you can win a trip to Melbourne or wherever the live finale is going to be, we're going to see teams come out to play. We're going to see riders get organized. We're going to see WP Task bring out the big guns. We're going to see Aussie Hump Day Ride bring out the big guns. You're going to see all sort of teams like Vision try to root together. Right now in the preseasons, it's very much one by one by one by one, and that's why an attack like this could stick as John O'Jay and G Hughes are going off the front again.
I think that most likely there'll be a little bit of a counter-attack from someone in the peloton here, which will start a chain reaction, I reckon, very shortly. I reckon we'll see some riders try to go up the front here. And this move would be after that sort of chain reaction happens of going over the top. And that's where something could stick with the strongmen going over the top of the breakaway.
John O'Jay is already at 190 beats per minute. I would look up his stats over on Swift Power, but due to the great GDPR, that site is still unfortunately down under construction. Hopefully that gets up soon because we are, at least I am, craving my Swift Power, little stats and tidbits and looking up people's power, looking up their heart rates, their distance, their results, their palmarès. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but we'll see what John O'Jay can do today with G Hughes. And it's worth mentioning that the most aggressive rider of the competitivity award can only go to Australians. So G Hughes, he's been lighting it up so far, but unfortunately he is ineligible. Being from Ireland, we are encouraging down under. Wes is down under, and yeah, John O'Jay off the front with a featherweight.
John O'Jay lights it up here now and looks like he's probably preempting that there's going to be a bit of a move out of that peloton and someone come across. Looks like he's dropped his companion now. So Hughes has been dropped just slightly, but I reckon he'll get back into the slipstream there. And we see some orange numbers in the back of the pack there now, Jasper, but not quite breaking clear.
They didn't quite go for it. It was Hodges on the front at 8 watts per kilo, and that was about the max we saw for it. It has somewhat broken the pack. We do see it split, but it's gonna come back together, and it's not going to do them justice, but that was a relatively slow Trafalgar Square effort there. I think everyone is still looking at each other as we see Michael Elias of Innovation up there. Everyone is kind of looking at each other going, I don't want to blow too early. I don't want to, just fire all the matches, just throw the matchbox into the fire and see what happens 15 kilometers in. Sometimes it takes massive balls like Cameron Roberts to actually attack off the front, and so far it looks like everyone is keeping them in check.
They are, and looks like we've got W Van as well back in there amongst it. So we had Van a couple of weeks back get amongst it and went in a couple of breakaways as well. We haven't seen the boom bikes come back into action yet, but there are a few more names there that I haven't seen before. So good to see some new faces getting involved in the e-crit.
Van, the man, the myth, the legend. Always up for a good attack. I miss the boomboxes. They are always the highlight. So it's a studio in South Korea. They've got 4 riders lined up next to each other. I believe they're on watt bikes, and they're like 1 boom bike, 2 boom bike, 3 boom bike. You never know who they are, but they're always on that station, and they always light up the race. And yeah, it's really fun to watch aggressive and assertive racing. Right now, it's very reactive. We've got a bunch of sprinters in here. We see Jacopos in there, Aaron Dunn. We don't have Linton Savatsky tonight. He's over racing the CVR race, but it's going to be interesting to see if someone actually is going to go for it, because right now, in the chat right now, who is your favorite to win the Combativity Award? We've seen some attacks from Talbot, from John O'Jay, from Pat Shaw, but no one has really stood out yet. No one has been the Thomas de Gent, who actually, I guess Thomas Vockler actually won the Combativity that year, but no one's been that aggressive yet.
No, it seems that everyone's sort of on the same playing field in terms of my radar on points. For that sort of competition, it looks like everyone's sort of at an even field now. So they're going to have to try and step it up to go on the attack again if they want to be noticed.
Yeah, halfway through the race, there are eyeballs on you everywhere. We're live on Facebook, on Mixer, and Twitch, I do believe, and YouTube even, perhaps. So there are eyeballs on you, and we do have an attack. It is Aaron Dunn. Did you sneak him a little message, Wes?
No, I didn't sneak him a little sneaky message. I am looking through the chat, though, to see what the community is saying there and if there are any questions going on. But as we look through the questions, Jesper, we see the bunch quickly react to Dunn because they know that he's quite strong and not really someone you want to be away in a breakaway with either, because he's quite fast.
Yeah, Aaron Dunn can do everything. We saw that last year as he topped the rankings of overall points gathered in the E-Crit regular season. Then he went into the finale and he really did the best with WP TAS, and pretty sure he walked away with some money as well. So Aaron Dunn, everyone knows who he is in this peloton. If you don't, well, you haven't done your homework. So you do not want Aaron Dunn in the breakaway. You don't want Aaron Dunn in a sprint. Basically, you don't want Aaron Dunn in your race.
That's a little bit harsh, but Scotty Thompson has also just asked, what's the go with the glowing wheels? Can you explain that to us, Scotty?
Oh, gotta love the glowing wheels. So on Zwift, you can unlock certain items by leveling up. The more you ride, you go from level 1 to level 25. And some items, you even have to do unreal feats, unreal tasks. The glowing wheels, they're better known as the Tron bikes, or also the official name is the Zwift Concept Bike, I believe. The way you unlock it, Wes, is by climbing 50,000 meters of elevation. 50,000 meters of elevation. That's taken people months to go up there. Now with the addition of the Alp de Zwift, it's a bit easier, but essentially you have to go up Alp de Zwift 50 times to unlock these wheels and that bike. They are the fastest set of equipment in the game. So if you want to be faster, if you want to get better, go climb Alp de Zwift 50 times.
I wouldn't say it's a bit easier. It's a bit quicker, I'd say, maybe to unlock it. Definitely not easier, but we're getting some updates from Ben Gove now saying that Keith Leonard has just been reported as tucked up in bed with a hot water bottle, suffering from horrible man flu. So get well, Keith. I hope that you recover well. Hope that you're keeping an eye on your rivals out there as well, and keeping tabs on some of the riders that you need to look out for coming up later in the series. And Mikey has also said, Mike Hoskins has always said hello to Mick and John Duncan. Looks like we've got a comment there in another language. I don't know if that's Japanese. I think it might be. I'll have to come back on that one. I'll have to translate it.
Time to pull out the little handbook of quick translate to translate, or we can just call up Zwift manager Ian Vinton to get a quick translate, as I believe he is actually in Asia right now. But we have an attack. We got Brody Talbot off the front with our Dever, and I think this does swing, for me at least. You're the final vote, everybody in the chat, but I do believe this swings the pointer in Talbot's direction for the most aggressive rider so far.
It does, definitely. And we just got a translation on that. It was hello. And I'm not, language was that. It was detected Japanese. So konnichiwa to our fans that have tuned in. Looks like that Jeff Cornet has also tuned in. So Jeff Francois. Jeff has covered the Tour de France and a lot of other major events, sporting events, the Giro around the world. So great to see Jeff tuning in and seeing what's going on here. He has been one of the main sort of drivers of the Tour of Langkawi as well. So great to see that Jeff is in amongst it here as well, watching the E-Crit. And so Brody Talbot so far, I think, is maybe got a little something for his pain cave here. So that will be great. So good to see Brody out the front here.
Hey, don't count your chickens just yet. There's 18 kilometers to go. Anything can happen. If John O'Jay goes on to the attack again, I think we have a tie if Brody gets caught. With two-man breakaway, they have a 10-second gap now heading up Trafalgar Square yet another time here. Can Dever and Talbot stay away? And I do gotta, we got asked about the bike earlier. One of the great things about Zwift is you can be anyone. Like Brody Talbot here, we're seeing him on a specialized Roubaix. He's got ponytail, he's got a nice tan on him. I mean, SIP 404 wheels. Who doesn't want this, Wes?
Yeah, he has certainly got a very good tan for an Australian winter. So good to see Brody out here off the front. It looks like Jacopo is going across now with his very stock standard bike, as you mentioned earlier. He'll be looking to try and unlock some other sort of bikes that are a little bit quicker in the game, but nonetheless, he seems to be pretty comfortable closing these gaps.
I'm noticing a trend with Jacopo. Every time he bridges a gap, his wattage goes down to 0. I'm just wondering if he's freewheeling when he gets on the back of the group. If that's just like a mental, just a mental mechanism. Because in the real life, when you really bridge back on, you just freewheel for a second, catch your breath, get in the draft. On Zwift, if you were to freewheel, which is happening right now with Jacopo, you go to the back of the peloton. There's a reason you keep that chain tight at all times. Even 50 watts is greater than 0, Wes.
Yeah, you got to keep the tension on the chain there. So Giacopo is slowly working that out. Hopefully he tunes into the stream. If he isn't tuned in, then he may be able to play this back. Get a little bit of a Zwift education from the man himself, Mr. Cycling Hub Jesper Anker, and get his Zwift on. And so good to see him getting amongst it and learning as he goes by the sounds of it.
I believe the correct terminology is the Jesper Anker. But anyway, having a bit of fun. I watched way too much Zwift in my life. Best memory of Zwift watching was I was in the Netherlands, and we had set up this pain cave, and some fans came over and they wanted to race with me commentating on it. This guy, it's his first time ever on Zwift. He is nervous. You can see his heart rate is in the 180s before even racing. He's a young kid. He gets on, he gets into a corner on Zwift, and he freewheels. He gets into the corner. He's like, oh, I can freewheel now. I can lean into it. Gets dropped off the pack. I've never seen a guy so mad in my life. Hilarious. But that's Zwift for you. It's technical.
Very technical. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the more you are familiar with the platform, the more advantage you have. And it looks like JJ's up around the front here again as well now. So He may be looking to sort of move up here and do a bit of a pounce. So who knows? Or do that sneaky little 6 watts per kilo just under the 7, so it's not on the radar of the orange fluoro light up that you're putting some power down. So they see everyone sort of bunching up here. Everyone's looking at each other here, Jesper, and no one's prepared to go out in amongst it yet. We still see Brody Talbot up there as well at the front here, Giacopo. So all of these riders here foxing around, seeing if anyone's going to try and attack now.
The great thing about this is that you can be a Cat 2, Cat 3 amateur racer, have a relatively high FTP, but not have the time to commit to becoming an NRS racer down under. But you can just jump on Zwift and take that FTP and take it up against the very best, even a World Tour rider such as Lachlan Mordnat. There's Aaron Dunn once again, accelerates the pace on the front. So there's some riders in here that may not be racing every Saturday and Sundays in the crits trying to move up the ranks. But what they do instead is when the weather gets a bit poor, they maintain fitness by racing some of the people they've seen on TV, some of the riders they've watched in real life, and they can put their powers up against the other ones, the professionals, and see just how far they have to go or just how close they actually are.
And who do we see here? The Vizari. Vizari, am I saying that correctly? I can't quite see very clear. Yep, Vizari. So I've seen Vizari's name up around there a couple of times tonight at the front of the bunch. But it looks like he's punching across the gap now to Dunn. So maybe another rider here. Looks like he's in A grade as well. So maybe another rider that will throw up around in this series. Hasn't gone after the most aggressive by attacking, but I've certainly noticed that name around there tonight around the front end.
If you're watching and you want to get involved, there's no entry fee. There's nothing you can do. All you just do, get on Zwift, 10 o'clock European time or 7 o'clock Sydney time, I believe. Get on the mobile app on Zwift on your phone, sign up, get on, and race. All you got to do is make sure to actually make the start time. Make sure your cat doesn't steal your Ant Plus dongle and run away with it. But yeah, just get on, get riding, and that's all you got to do, Wes.
That's it. So we've got Aaron tuning in now. So g'day to Aaron tuning in from Georgetown. Aaron has done a few triathlons at a very high level. So great to see him in amongst it tonight, watching the stream. And I know he's quite competitive in nature, so he'll probably want to jump into one of these e-crits and tackle it with some of these big names like Giacopo. So Giacopo just stretching the legs off the front here now at a leisurely 400 watts. And looks like he's sort of just foxing out to see if anyone's interested in increasing the pace with him.
No one just yet. You have to, if you want to break the peloton, you have to do lunges, you have to do searches, you have to go to 10 watts per kilo, and that way you will actually get away. Or unless you are Talbot and those guys, and you just John O'Jay, 6 watts per kilo, sneakily gets off the front. But if you are a well-known name such as Giacopo, there's going to be eyes on you at all times, and you're going to have to break him by sure willpowers. But not happened yet. We have 14 kilometers to go of this racing tonight. It's been fast-paced, but it's been rather organized so far. There have been a few attempts on the front, but it really does feel like a proper Australian crit race. There's somebody trying to break out the pack, knowing they're not a sprinter, and then there are the sprinters that race a really reactive race, waiting for the very end, saving their aero power up, getting ready to launch in the final kilometer, 900 meters.
And Jesper, are you feeling confident that this is going to be a sprint and settle in for Dunn to take the victory tonight? It looks like so far we've had a few tries and attempts at some breakaways, and that one early on looked very strong with those 5 riders and big names in there. Do you think that this is going to stay together now, or that someone's going to sort of mess the plans up of a sprint?
Oh, duh. I wouldn't have picked Aaron Dunn if I wasn't certain it'd be a sprint. I mean, no, what we're missing is peak level fitness. Pat Shaw, Troy Harefoot, Cameron Roberts, the rebels, the usual suspects, the guys that can really ruin a sprinter's race. Cameron Roberts is currently busy racing CVR. Troy Harefoot is currently busy winning a super motorbike or whatever his, what was it called again? The category thing he races, the motorbike thing?
Yes, superbikes, yeah.
Superbike. So he's currently busy racing that in Australia. And Pat Shaw, well, he's just been having a few too many beers, I believe, and now he's just trying to shred that weight and get ready for e-crit season. Let's see what's going to happen, though. Pat Shaw near the front. Hopefully, he's got the speaker on loud so he can hear that, because I'm fairly certain if he did hear that, that would spark a reaction straight away. 13 kilometers to go. We're about to hit up. Sorry?
You don't have to poke the bear too much with Pat. Yeah, even if he's suffering, he will certainly, when he gets the call out, he will certainly try his best to step it up. But we see some other riders here thinking about the same thing here and going off the front. So we see who's that going off the front of there? I can't quite
It's
make
an
out the name.
ODC rider from the United States of America. He's got 1 second on the front. Critlin is following it. Johnson, yet again, a more collected ascent off the Trafalgar Square climb. It's 200 meters at about 6 and 7%. It's a rope bump that's hard enough to break the peloton, but it's very tough to use it as a launch pad, as it's just not really long enough.
No, it isn't quite long enough for that. But at the same time, if these riders are using the correct power ups, which looks like a lot of people are getting rid of some, except for this rider here off the front, who is that? Wai
Chiu
Chun,
from,
is that
yeah, from Taiwan,
Chiu?
I
So
believe.
So a lot of these riders are using the draft aero power up. So a lot of them wanting to get rid of those sort of power ups because they want that aero power up. So aero power up is the fastest in the game, Jasper. And then we also have the featherweight, which is quite handy if you want to attack on the climbs.
Mhm.
But by far the most powerful on this course is the aero power up.
You literally have to have an aero power up to win this race. And I know that some believe that's not fair. That's not racing, but it really is in Zwift case. When power ups are allowed, which they are in KISS races where anything is allowed, you can do whatever you want within the rules of the game. You get this aero power up, it'll last about 15, 20 seconds, and it'll reduce your CDA, your drag, it'll make you more aerodynamic. Basically, in layman's terms, it will make you fast, really, really fast. And everyone else is going to have an aero power up. If you don't, it's going to be dang on near impossible, Wes.
So I guess in a sense, the aero power up gets you down in a Caleb Ewan or a Mark Cavendish position, really.
It does. It really just brings your head down all the way. It doesn't matter if you're 2 meters tall or 150 like Caleb Ewan. It makes you faster. And I can guarantee you, as we see Tish Sonneveld, ex-professional cyclist and now author, attacking off the front, the guy next to you, the guy next to you, the guy behind you, and maybe even the guy in front of you, they've got an aero power up their sleeve, and they will press that thing. They will use it in the sprint. And if you don't, game over. Good night. Bye-bye.
Yep, that's what happens if you do not have the right power up. It is very hard to win unless you are super super strong. I haven't seen it yet. Someone win without a power up, especially on a flat course like this. But Pedro from Portugal has joined us on the stream. So, g'day Pedro, and thanks for tuning in.
Hey, he must be quite happy with the World Cup results so far. A good 3-3 draw versus Spain. Speaking of the World Cup, Wes, I'm Danish. You're Australian. The next game in our group just happens to be Denmark
Ooh.
versus Australia. Are you ready to get beaten?
Oh, I'm ready to watch a good game. I mean, we'll go down fighting if we're Australian. So, yeah,
But
the
you'll
old
go down.
Socceroos. Hopefully, we'll jump around and hop around the soccer pitch, and hopefully we can kick at least a couple of goals or one even to try and match you. That would be nice. I'd be happy with a draw.
Yeah, what the downside of being having done the Ecrit so far is that I've made so many Australian friends over the last year and a half. So I can guarantee you, if Denmark somehow manages to lose that game, my messenger, my chat, my text will be ha ha Jesper. Have a good one from like literally 10 different people. So I am just begging Denmark to win so I can do the opposite. So I can write to 10 different people, ha ha, beer emoji.
Beer emoji. Oh dear. We see a solid bit of a gap extending out here now from the rest of the peloton, Jasper.
We do. T. Shonevel's off the front. Sam Mobley's reacting to this with a cadence of 120 RPM. Maybe it's time to change the gear, but he's trying to attack off the front. Dunn is reacting to it. Hughes is there. Elias, but they're bringing back the peloton. You can see Sam Mobley in that Team Dimension Data Swift Academy kit, which is unlocked by being in the Swift Academy and finishing it, I do believe. So he's trying to bridge across. It's going to be successful, but there is a really heavy dead weight in this group, and that is none other than Aaron Dunn.
Aaron Dunn is on the wheel here. So again, not someone you want to go off the front with here because Aaron Dunn would most likely be the quickest sprinter in amongst this besides Anthony Geracopo if he knows how to use the power up correctly. It would be a head-to-head with these two. But looks like there's a bit of a counter reaction here now. Over the top here, we see Hodges go now.
Moves everywhere. James Hodges, the hedgehog, he's been in the secret for quite a while now. He's attacking off the front, and he has neutralized the attack of Tish Sonneveld just like that. And with this move, I don't think Hodges is going to keep down on the pressure. I think he'll slowly bring it back down to the 4 watts per kilo mark, and the peloton will be back together. We are on the penultimate lap of tonight's Ecrit, everybody. The finish comes with 38 kilometers to go, so that's roughly 9 kilometers left of racing. Next time they cross the start-finish banner, we will ring the bell, which, yeah, still forgot it's still at the home for the 4th week in a row.
I've got to sort it.
Oh, you got to sort it?
Yeah, yep.
Can we just fast forward now? Is that like on the remote? Can you fast forward to the start finish banner? Because now all I want to see is this little cowbell.
Oh, don't get too excited, Jasper.
Oh, that's not.
It's
somewhere Wendy Superfan is cowbell. Oh, can't wait.
No, I must put in a request when Wendy comes across to the Zwift HQ in Oz that she brings a cowbell, maybe one that we can keep. But we do see that a name up there again, Jasper. I've forgotten how to pronounce it again. That Vizzari.
Yeah.
Vizzari? It sounds sort of Italian, Vizzari. So Vizzari is up the front here. Hopefully he's had his Mangiore, and he's going to probably try and finish in the top 10 here. I'm going to call him out to finish a top 10 in this E-crit. So hopefully we see Vizzari get out amongst it there. So what is Vizzari's first name?
That I did not check, but all the first names I know is because Swift Power is currently down. So all the first names I know is from scrolling through the Swift mobile companion app on the start list and just memorizing some of their first names. Vizzari's unfortunately not one of them. I'm gonna make up a name.
Antonio.
Oh!
Antonio Vizzari.
I was gonna just say Arthur. Arthur Vizzari. I thought that sounded good.
Yeah, it could be. So we're getting a few other people join the streams. Looks like Greg Watson has joined the stream as well. I don't think I saw Greg in amongst it, so I didn't see his name pop up around there, but it looks like he's tuned in to the stream to keep an eye on his competitors as well. So good to see Greg Watson getting amongst it here and tuning in to make sure and keeping tabs on some of these competitors that he'll be up against when he joins in next week. So Giacopo up the front here as well. And it looks like we've got a few power-ups going there. Probably not the right ones. No, looks like, yep, they're getting rid of some of those drafting boosts now. A couple of feather-ups, but looks like everyone's on the attack here now at the moment.
They are, because this is the second to last time they will crest this climb. You could just see the mess that was climbing that climb. Just everybody fighting to get in somebody's draft to sit in and try and save energy while still being near the front. Michael Elias of Innovation Cycling had to pop an aero power-up just to hang on to the front group this time around. That's just how fast the pace has gone up now. 7 kilometers left of racing. When they cross this start-finish banner, that will be the final bell lap. It's going to be exciting to see. You got Lachlan Morton on the front now, but it's still, considering we're 30 kilometers in, the peloton is still quite strong. We're seeing 25, 30 riders, and they are all very capable of winning this race, Wes.
They are very capable of winning this race, and now that they're coming up for that last time up that drag, it's the only chance you've got with about 3K to go on that last climb. If you are not a sprinter, then you have to roll the dice and take that chance. But on the last penultimate lap, everyone sort of reacts to it. So that was a lot of people's chance was to try and get away on that time up the climb, the second last time on the climb. Coming down to the last time on the climb now, it's going to be very difficult to get a gap because everyone's going to be manning everyone's back wheel and making sure that no one gets away. And if they are going to try and make a small gap, they're still in that striking distance there as well. So I'm sure we're going to see the WP Taz guys get together here and form a bit of a rally around hopefully Dunn, because he's certainly one of the strongest sprinters in here that we know of. But Giacopo has joined in on this series. So it's going to be really good if Giacopo goes head-to-head with Dunn and they both are using power-ups, because I'd really like to see that matchup.
I'm pretty sure they would have enough wattage to power a toaster. So if anyone is craving a sandwich, right about now is the time to put the bread in, because Jacopi versus Dunn, that's going to be fireworks, anybody. And speaking of fireworks, in the chat right now, wherever you're watching, I want you to predict who's going to win this race. I know we want you to do the most aggressive rider award as well, but it's kind of slowed down near the front. Nobody's really fancying that ride-on. Everybody's kind of looking at each other going, you take it up. I'm not doing it.
Yep. No, everyone's sort of looking at each other now. So we're getting in a few comments in now. So Ben says go WBR, so he's cheering on for go WBR for anyone racing for WBR. But let us know in the comments who you'd like to pick for the win, or who you'd like to send a shout out to. We're getting James Chi from Singapore saying hello. So thanks for tuning in, James. I think I've seen James lately on Strava as well, giving me a few ride-ons. So thanks for that, James. And looks like we're coming under that bell. So there we go. The ring is ding. That is the bell there for the competitors. So, and Greg Watson says, don't take AJ to the finish. Mikey Hoskins says, AJ, do it for the Perth boys. So Mikey getting amongst there cheering on AJ. So AJ is Anthony Giacopo. That's his nickname, is AJ. Oh. So Giacopo, AJ is getting some shout outs. And Greg Watson has also said Pat from 1K to go. So really? Pat with the long range attack. I mean,
here goes JJ. JJ wants to win the ride-on stick, but 7 watts per kilo is just not enough to break it up. The pace is high. This is a proper Zwift move, Wes. On this course, it may seem flat, but corners are so messy that if you attack into the correct corner, you can blow the race apart. And that's what JJ is trying to do. Hodges is off the front. HS is off the front. Hughes are off the front. But they're all European. We're focusing on the Australians here. JJ, Talbot, they're fighting for it. Right now, I think the Competitivity Award is just slowly swinging back in favor of John O'Jay with another attack on the final lap.
Looks like that JJ has wanting to pimp out his pain cave with that ride on. So he's in amongst it here off the front, trying to get that probably most aggressive, but also maybe trying to take this race.
He is. He's got a nice draft here in G. Hughes from Ireland. 7 watts per kilo from Hughes. But back in the peloton, we got Talbot attacking again. Brody can't be having that. Talbot's going on to the attack, and he popped an arrow. He's popped an arrow, Wes.
So this is a full commitment there. Aero power up. He's going to go straight round these riders and suck their helmets off. They didn't even have any on to start with, but he's still sucked straight past them. Brody Talbot is on the hunt here now. He's going through a pack of riders here now. So hopefully with the confusion there, hopefully Brody will hoping the other riders get hooked up in that bunch there and he can get a bit more of a gap here. And he's not letting up on the watts, 400 watts. So he's at a nice 6 watts per kilo and holding that at the moment.
Now, the old ticker falls back again in Brody Talbot's favor for the most aggressive rider award. He goes off the front, even popped the aero power up. You know you need it for the sprint, but Brody says, I'm not going for the sprint. It's a 6-second gap. It's a fool's errand, but he's doing it, Wes.
Look at that, and 187 heart rate. So I would say he hasn't got too much wiggle room there either. That would be up there. I assume his heart rate max would be around the 190 something. So he's pushing it very hard out there. Nice cadence as well with that power as well. 100 cadence, 300 watts. And he's holding there around that 5 watts per kilo. He needs to hold that 5 watts per kilo now. He's just dropping under that. So come on, Brody. I think we've already given him a ride on tonight, but I'm going to give you this big ride on virtual thumb. So good job. Let that one drop in over your head there, Brody. Keep smashing it out there. Looks like the other riders are trying to bring it back. He's holding it 3 seconds now. And he's back out of the saddle. Yeah, this is it. He's back out of the saddle. Good work, Brody. Nice work. 184 beats right now. Back over 450 watts. So it looks like Josh Wilson now is on the front there with a Japanese rider. So it looks like Dunn come to the front there now. So these riders are sensing a little bit of urgency here now. I assume this is going to be very, very messy on this final climb.
Oh, Brody Talbot is going to have his heart broken coming up to the climb. He's caught. You'd assume he's got nothing left going up to the climb here. He's been caught already out in the front. We've got Conway, we've got Nolan, we've got Johnson, Shane Johnson, Aaron Dunn. It's going to be fireworks up the Trafalgar Square climb. The name of the game is to not get dropped. Get to the finish line, see what you've got left, and then fight for the victory in the sprint. Dunn is at the front. T. Sonnevelt's in there. Lachlan Morton, Joshua Wilson. You've heard all the names. Anthony Jacopo. They're all there. They're ready to go. Where's the Pat Shaws? Where's the wattage? G. Hughes is on the front now. Trafalgar Square, 2 kilometers to go. Dunn is sitting exactly where he wants to be, and he's got his teammate Joshua Wilson right next to him, Wes.
And look who else is up there. Vazzari is up there as well. So Antonio Vazzari from the what he's not from a team yet, but he's got the KISS team there. He could be part of WP Taz. I may have to reach out to Nagy and let him know. Vasari's up here. He's been up around the front end all night, so great to see Vasari up there. May not even be Italian, but I'll just call it like it is. And looks like we're going to come round this sweeping left-hander, and then we'll get that 1 kilometre to go banner. We can see it on our left-hand side there now. So Josh Wilson up the front here now, most likely positioning Aaron Dunn for the sprint finish. And Giacopo want to be up around the front here now. He won't want to be too far back. Otherwise, going to have to
Lachlan Morton has got a 1 second gap, Wes. Lachlan Morton sneaking off the front, 6 watts per kilo. There are not that many numbers in the group behind anymore. We're about to go under the Flamme Rouge. Lachlan Morton, a professional rider. He's been here before. He doesn't crack under pressure. 2 seconds gap, 3 seconds gap. Dunn is sending Joshua Wilson to the front now to chase down the professional rider from Team Dimension Data. Oh, Wes, this is going to be tight, but Brody Talbot! Brody! Another attack! Oh my God, Brody, Joshua, Wes, what's happening right now?
1K to go, and looks like Brody's gone through there, gone past SW from Japan, and has kept that pace going now. Josh Wilson starting to close the gap here now. Looks like the rest of the bunch is going to come up on the back of here, but Talbot here. So Talbot, very fine ride. Probably not going to be able to take it out from here, but most aggressive for sure. Back to 500 watts again now. Coming up around this sweeper, we see all of the big names up here now. S. Johnson as well. Lachlan Morton still in amongst it there. And I'll let you take it over for the finale.
Pop West, C Strong, 10 watts per kilo. First to pop the arrow. Cridlin Johnson, where's Jacoby? Jacoby's yet to launch. Where's Aaron Dunn? The pros at this. Shane Johnson is in there. Wilson is at the back. It is currently C Strong still at the front. 15 watts per kilo with the arrow power up. Is it going to be the strong man from down under? 16! He's got another kick. 200 beats per minute.
Wow.
But it's going to be close. It's actually the overall win is going to go to none other than Mr. Author himself, T. Sonneveld, the next pro cyclist. But Australian down under, C Strong with 15, 16 watts per kilo, Wes. What a race.
And it looked like it was Cridlin and then Giacopo in third, I think. We'll have to go maybe on what the riders say in the chat to see whether that was the placing. But it looked like that Giacopo was up there in a mix and Cridlin in second. But that was a very strong finish there by C Strong. So if the riders are listening and tuning in now, we're going to have a Facebook Live, which I'll do a bit of a Q&A and chat to some people on the Zwift Oz page. So if you want to jump across to the Zwift Oz page and want to have a chat to me, then feel free to drop into the Zwift Oz Facebook page and I'll invite you in for a call.
That will be fun. Anyway, thanks so much to all the racers. Thanks for watching. Brody Talbot. I think we're just going to pull rank here, Wes and I, and say Brody Talbot. There's no vote needed. The man with the most heart tonight and the legs of diamonds. What a race. C Strong attack with 700 meters to go. One with a Pat Shaw patented power up attack from nowhere. Power keeps rising, wins. That was fun. We will be back next week, same time with the Crit race. I believe the Chop will also be here on Thursday. So anyway, give a like, give a love, and we'll see you guys next time.